What if the most unforgettable Western stories weren't in movies, but in miniseries? Some of the most gripping, emotional, and character-driven Westerns ever made came to life in just a few powerful episodes. Today, we count down the 16 greatest Western TV miniseries every true movie lover should binge. Get ready for dust, danger, and drama that goes beyond the silver screen. Lonesome Dove, 1989. If one miniseries ever defined the Western genre, it's Lonesome Dove. Adapted from Larry McMurtry's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel, this four-part saga follows two aging Texas Rangers, Woodrow F. Call and Augustus Gus McCrae, on an epic cattle drive from dusty Texas to the wilds of Montana. But this isn't just about open plains and frontier adventure. It's a story soaked in friendship, loss, and the burden of time. Robert Duvall and Tommy Lee Jones give career-defining performances, anchoring a cast that includes Diane Lane, Danny Glover, and Angelica Houston. The miniseries plays like a goodbye to the Old West itself, gritty, unforgiving, and heartbreakingly beautiful. Every scene feels lived in, every character fully drawn. It won 7 Emmys for a reason. If you only watch one Western miniseries in your life, make it this one. You'll never forget the ride. Hatfields and McCoys, 2012. It was more than a feud. It was a blood-soaked war between two American families that scarred generations. Hatfields and McCoys brings the infamous post-Civil War clash to visceral life, with Kevin Costner and Bill Paxton embodying the fierce patriarchs of the rival clans. Set against the rugged Appalachian backdrop, the series unfolds with escalating violence, betrayals, forbidden love, and legal chaos. What began as a dispute over a stolen pig spirals into a tragedy that grips the nation. With brutal realism and historical authenticity, the 3-part miniseries doesn't shy away from the senseless destruction born of pride and vengeance. The performances burn with intensity, and the cinematography captures both the bleakness and the brutal beauty of the frontier. This isn't just history, it's a haunting morality tale that resonates today. Few miniseries grab you by the collar like this one. Broken Trail, 2006. Broken Trail is about redemption on the edge of civilization. Robert Duvall stars as an aging horseman who sets out on a routine trail drive in 1898. But everything changes when he and his nephew stumble upon 5 young Chinese girls being trafficked into prostitution. In a heartbeat, their quiet ride becomes a moral crusade. The dusty roads of the West are now lined with danger, dignity, and hard choices. What sets this miniseries apart is its slow, meditative pacing, the way it captures silence, suffering, and silent acts of heroism. It's a story about the human cost of survival and the nobility of small acts. With sweeping landscapes, sharp dialogue, and Duvall at his most soulful Broken Trail is as much a character study as it is a Western. And when the final credits roll, it lingers like the sun setting over the Rockies, somber, powerful, unforgettable. Into the West, 2005. Few miniseries dared to tell the story of the American West from both sides. Into the West, produced by Steven Spielberg, spans decades and generations, following 2 intertwined families, one white, one Lakota. Told over 6 episodes, it's a sweeping epic that covers everything from the California Gold Rush to the massacre at Wounded Knee. But this isn't textbook history. It's deeply emotional, intimate, and often painful. The series doesn't shy away from the horrors of westward expansion, land theft, broken treaties, and cultural erasure. Yet, it also captures the awe and ambition of a nation being forged. With stunning cinematography, authentic sets, and a massive ensemble cast including Kerry Russell and Matthew Settle, Into the West brings forgotten voices to the forefront. It's not just a miniseries, it's a reckoning, and it challenges you to see the West not just as a land of dreams, but as a land of consequences. Dead Man's Walk, 1996. Before Lonesome Dove, there was Dead Man's Walk, a brutal, eye-opening look at the youth of Gus McCrae and Woodrow Call during their early days as Texas Rangers. This prequel strips away the myth of the West and exposes the raw bones of survival. Young and idealistic, the 2 men join a dangerous expedition across Comanche territory toward Santa Fe, only to find themselves betrayed, starved, and enslaved by the Mexican army. The miniseries is a harsh, unrelenting journey through unforgiving landscapes and moral gray zones. It's not romantic. It's real. The cruelty they endure shapes them into the hardened men we meet in Lonesome Dove. With gritty performances by David Arquette and Johnny Lee Miller, Dead Man's Walk is a coming-of-age tale soaked in blood, dust, and bitter truths. It's a reminder that legends are not born, they are brutally carved into history. Streets of Laredo, 1995. In Streets of Laredo, we find an aging Captain Woodrow Call, played by James Garner, facing a dying West and his own fading strength. The cattle drives are gone, the frontier is changing, and so is he. This direct sequel to Lonesome Dove follows Call as he's hired to track down a deadly young outlaw, a mission that becomes a reflection on mortality, lost friends, and a world slipping away. The tone is elegiac, the pace deliberate, and the emotions heavy. Gone is the youthful banter of McCrae. Here, silence says more than words. With haunting music, aching landscapes, and strong supporting performances by Sissy Spacek and Randy Quaid, the miniseries captures the loneliness of a man outliving his own era. It's not a heroic farewell, it's a reckoning with time, memory, and regret. If Lonesome Dove is about the birth of the West, Streets of Laredo is its graceful, mournful goodbye. Comanche Moon, 2008. Comanche Moon is the emotional and narrative bridge between Dead Man's Walk and Lonesome Dove, offering a vivid portrait of Gus McCrae and Woodrow Call in their prime as Texas Rangers. This miniseries is soaked in betrayal, lust, and the psychological toll of frontier law enforcement. While chasing Comanche raiders and facing ruthless outlaws, Gus and Call also wrestle with their own inner demons, haunted by lost love, unfulfilled dreams, and the creeping realization that violence can't solve everything. Val Kilmer, Steve Zahn, and Carl Urban deliver standout performances, making this entry raw and volatile. The series doesn't flinch from the horrors of conflict, whether it's scalpings, raids, or moral compromise. It's both a Western spectacle and a deeply personal drama. Comanche Moon doesn't aim to please, it aims to scar, and in doing so, it captures the psychological unraveling of men who wear badges but bleed like everyone else. The Sackets, 1979. When three brothers leave their war-torn home in Tennessee and head west, they carry nothing but grit, rifles, and a name, Sacket. Based on Louis L'Amour's beloved novels, The Sackets is a frontier tale that blends family loyalty, cowboy justice, and the vast sweep of American opportunity. Starring Sam Elliott, Tom Selleck, and Glenn Ford, the two-part miniseries unfolds as a slow-burning saga of brothers forging new paths through outlaw territory and broken towns. Whether they're fighting cattle rustlers or outlaws, the Sackett brothers never lose their sense of purpose, or each other. With rich character development and sweeping vistas, this miniseries captures the spirit of Western storytelling that feels both personal and legendary. It's a love letter to the genre, brimming with shootouts, campfire wisdom, and the kind of brotherhood that makes you wish the ride would never end. It's not just a Western, it's a legacy. Centennial, 1978-79. Centennial isn't just a Western, it's a sweeping generational epic. Spanning over 200 years, this 12-part miniseries chronicles the rise of a fictional Colorado town, from Native American lands to fur trading posts, from wagon trains to railroads, and into the 20th century. It's based on James A. Michener's novel and delivers a mosaic of characters who live, fight, love, and die, building the American West. With an all-star cast including Richard Chamberlain, Raymond Burr, and Robert Conrad, Centennial tackles massive themes: greed, genocide, environmental change, and cultural conflict, with unflinching honesty. What sets it apart is its sheer scale. Few miniseries have ever dared to chart the course of a town from unspoiled wilderness to modern civilization. It's haunting, immersive, and historically rich. Watching Centennial is like watching time itself roll across the plains, slow, unstoppable, and unforgettable. For anyone who wants to see how the West truly evolved, this is required viewing. The Shadow Riders, 1982. When the Civil War ends, not everyone comes home in peace. In The Shadow Riders, two brothers return from opposite sides of the war to find their family kidnapped by outlaws running a slave trade. Starring Tom Selleck and Sam Elliott in peak cowboy form, this miniseries is part rescue mission, part revenge tale, and all heart. Based on the Louis L'Amour novel, it's filled with train chases, gunfights, and rugged landscapes. But at its core, it's about family. The chemistry between Selleck and Elliott is undeniable, their banter sharp and genuine. While it leans more into action than existential depth, it never loses sight of emotional stakes. Every gallop, every gunshot carries the weight of brotherhood and moral resolve. It's one of those westerns where you cheer for the heroes, boo the villains, and feel the dust in your throat by the end. Short, punchy, and satisfying, it's a hidden gem of the TV frontier. True Women, 1997. The West wasn't built by men alone, and True Women makes sure you don't forget it. This three-part miniseries follows three courageous Texas women as they endure war, slavery, love, and the unforgiving frontier. Dana Delaney, Annabeth Gish, and a young Angelina Jolie portray women whose lives are forever shaped by Indian raids, political upheaval, and the heartbreak of survival. What makes this series powerful isn't just the storytelling, it's the lens. It looks at the West through feminine strength, resilience, and sacrifice. These aren't background characters, they are the emotional core. The series dives deep into friendship, motherhood, identity, and how women carved out autonomy in a world that often denied it to them. With lush visuals and heartfelt performances, True Women reminds us that frontier justice wasn't just dispensed with a gun. It was also forged in childbirth, letters, and the long, silent endurance of grief. It's not just empowering, it's essential. Texas Rising, 2015. Before there was a Lone Star State, there was Texas Rising. This 10-hour miniseries traces the chaotic birth of Texas in the wake of the Alamo. It's brutal, bombastic, and unapologetically wild. Bill Paxton stars as Sam Houston, leading the ragtag Texas forces against Santa Anna's powerful Mexican army. But this isn't just a battlefield story, it's also the origin of the Texas Rangers, forged in rebellion and grit. Texas Rising combines historical fact with a heavy dose of dramatized spectacle, explosions, betrayals, frontier battles, and sweeping desert shots that burn like the sun. Brendan Fraser surprises in a darker, more rugged role, and Jeffrey Dean Morgan brings deadly charisma as a vengeful ranger. Though the series leans into patriotic mythos, it also reveals the price of independence, blood, compromise, and moral ambiguity. It's a tale of revolution where not everyone is a hero, and survival is a matter of brutal instinct. Big, bold, and emotionally charged, this is Texas as you've never seen it. The Chisums, 1979-1980. The westward journey wasn't paved with gold, it was soaked in sweat, blood, and broken wheels. The Chisums captures that grueling reality through the story of a post-Civil War family who leaves Virginia to build a new life in Oregon. This two-part miniseries, later extended into a short series, follows the Chisum clan as they confront hostile terrain, sickness, bandits, and the sheer emotional weight of survival. It's not glamorous, it's gutsy. The series focuses on family dynamics under pressure, especially the struggles of the widowed matriarch and her growing children, all caught between hope and despair. What gives the Chisums its power is its emotional honesty. It doesn't treat the journey as manifest destiny. It treats it as a gamble with fate. Strong performances and gritty realism make it one of the most underrated sagas about pioneer life. If you've ever wondered what it truly cost to settle the West, The Chisums lays it bare. The Blue and the Gray, 1982. Set during the American Civil War, The Blue and the Gray blends war drama with Western grit, capturing how the frontier was forever changed by brother-on-brother conflict. This three-part miniseries follows a Northern artist and a Southern soldier, related by blood, separated by ideology, as they are pulled into one of America's most devastating chapters. What begins as a portrait of innocence becomes a grim descent into battlefield trauma, divided loyalties, and shattered families. The miniseries boasts a stellar cast including Gregory Peck as Abraham Lincoln and Stacy Keach in a powerhouse role. Unlike traditional war dramas, this one lingers on the personal cost. The moments of hesitation before pulling the trigger, the friendships severed by uniforms, the women left to wait and mourn. It's about how the frontier bled from wounds it didn't inflict. Poetic, violent, and emotionally resonant, The Blue and the Gray is more than a war story, it's a heartland elegy. The Gambler, 1980-1994. Kenny Rogers as a mysterious gunslinger named Brady Hawks? Yes, please. The Gambler started as a TV movie and spawned multiple sequels, becoming a cult phenomenon. But it's not just about cards and cowboy hats, it's about principles. Hawks isn't your typical Western hero. He's quiet, calculated, and carries a past that unfolds piece by piece. In each installment, he finds himself righting wrongs across the frontier. Whether it's helping a young son, rescuing a family from injustice, or outwitting outlaws with nothing but charm and strategy. The storytelling mixes action with heart, giving us a protagonist who solves problems with wits as often as bullets. With its iconic theme song, memorable guest stars, and evolving character arc, The Gambler became a unique Western miniseries franchise. It's easy to underestimate, until you're drawn in and realize it's not just entertaining, it's oddly profound. If you like your Westerns with soul and style, don't skip this ride. Gunsmoke, Return to Dodge, 1987. The West wasn't finished with Marshal Matt Dillon, and neither were fans. Gunsmoke, Return to Dodge brought back James Arness as the iconic lawman in a made-for-TV miniseries that served as a nostalgic yet stirring continuation of the legendary Gunsmoke series. Years after riding off, Dillon is wounded and forced to face ghosts from his past, including outlaw Will Mannon, who's thirsting for revenge. As Dodge City grapples with new threats, Dillon must reconcile his fading strength with a town still desperate for justice. The emotional weight of the story lies not just in gunfights, but in quiet moments, reunions, regrets, and reckonings. For longtime fans, this miniseries was a gift. For new viewers, it was a dignified standalone Western, filled with honor and grit. It proved that some legends never die. They just ride back into town one last time. And when they do, you tip your hat. From epic cattle drives to family feuds, these Western miniseries redefined television storytelling. If you're craving cinematic tales packed with grit, glory, and heartbreak, these 16 miniseries are your next binge. Saddle up. The frontier never left, it just moved to your screen.